Elon Musk is moving forward with his dismantling of Twitter as we knew it. On Monday, he officially dismissed the company's Trust and Safety Council. That's the group of volunteers that worked to ID misinformation and exploitation on the platform. He also fired a bunch of key people on his legal team, and there are new reports he's no longer paying some of the company's bills, including the rent they owe at Twitter's San Francisco headquarters. NBC News tech correspondent, my dear friend Jacob Ward, following it all. I want to start right there. I go on Today Show all the time with money-saving tips. I usually don't lead with skip out on your rent and mortgage, and if you run a business, don't pay your employees. But is that how you become the richest guy in the world, being a deadbeat?
I have to assume that this is just part of the strategy. You know, one of the reports that we're also getting at this hour is that he is gearing up some legal team horsepower to be ready for the possibility of maybe not paying people their severance and then dealing with them in court. I mean, I think there is very much a slash and burn cost-cutting thing going on at Twitter at this hour, Stephanie.
Why did he disband the Trust and Safety Council? Right? Wasn't it weeks ago when he met with all the advertisers and talked about all that they were going to do to keep that trust? Now it's out the window. It's all about him.
It's really not clear at this point. I mean, you remember he talked at one point about making no big decisions unless he put together some sort of content moderation council. That council never came together. And now we are seeing the Trust and Safety Council disbanded. You know, this Trust and Safety Council, the reason it matters is it's a group of academics and experts that the company, in theory, could rely on for all sorts of sensitive questions. I mean, one thing you have to consider, right, Stephanie, is that that company is hit all the time by requests from foreign governments to take down certain pieces of social media. Typically, those tend to be takedown requests when it comes to things like journalists and dissidents, protesters, opposition political figures. And in the past, we've seen the Trust and Safety Council basically say to the leadership of Twitter, don't comply to this or that takedown request. About half of takedown requests were basically refused as a matter of course. You look right now at what's coming up. Saturday, you're going to have parliamentary elections in Tunisia. In February, you're going to have them in Nigeria. In June, you're going to have them in Turkey. These are elections that are going to depend on a fight against misinformation, the kind of fight that this Trust and Safety Council was all about. The fact that it is gone, and you now have Elon Musk who says that he's going to mostly obey the rules of the native country. It's a very scary time in the world of misinformation.
Mostly obey. Then what guardrails are left? The world according to Elon?
That is really the question here. It is not. I know. I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, you and I saw today all of this stuff about taking down the Elon Jet Twitter account. Now, we could argue forever whether it's okay for a college sophomore to put up the ability to essentially track the movement of Elon's private jet, right? That's what Elon Jet, the account, was all about. But what's so funny about it is that they took it down after Elon Musk had, in fact, used it as a symbol of his devotion to free speech. He says, I'm devoted, I'm a free speech absolutist. I don't even take down the account that follows my jet around. Now, of course, they've created a new set of standards, and he's pulling that one down, then suddenly saying he'd put it back up for a second. You know, there's just no real consistency here, and you have the very clear sense that this billionaire is just making decisions by the seat of his pants day in and day out. And now that that Trust and Safety Council is gone, there's nobody else in the room saying, are you sure this is a good idea? It seems to be him and him alone.
But he's making decisions based on how things are impacting him personally, not the millions of people who use Twitter. Let's talk about another man in the news, Sam Bankman-Fried. I want to turn to the FTX collapse. Give us the latest. What have we learned today? He's still sitting in a jail in the Bahamas.
That's right. He's still in custody right now. He hasn't been extradited yet to the United States. We do know, of course, that he was arrested in the Bahamas at the behest of U.S. authorities, and he now faces not only 8 counts from the Department of Justice, but also a big, set of civil counts from the SEC. I think what's so fascinating about this, I mean, first of all, I've been talking to all these lawyers who are, going to be suing him or pursuing charges against him. And one of them said to me, you learn in law school in your very first year that if you steal more than $1 billion, you're going to go to prison. That is like a rule of the law, and that seems to very much be what he is facing here. What's so interesting, though, of course, Stephanie, is that, not only did we, are we seeing all these counts brought against him, not just wire fraud, not just money laundering, but election law violations. We're going to see so many interesting things come out of the charges against him. But here's a really interesting and twisted thing that I heard from one of the lawyers that I was speaking to. He pointed out, this guy's going to go to jail for a decade or more, and after he comes out, his skills will be irrelevant. The world is moving so fast, and we'll be on to some new arena of technology, in some new arena of fraud. This guy will be totally irrelevant by the time he emerges from jail. That, for me, really crystallized how fast this stuff moves and how, specific to this moment, Sam Bankman-Fried's actions and alleged fraud really were.
Okay, let's just be clear. I'm not sure if he has any extraordinary skills to this day, right? The reason he's in this muck of trouble is because he lost billions and billions of dollars. And as for what you learned the first day of law school, apparently not in neither his mother nor father's classes, since they are both law professors at Stanford, they didn't learn that lesson. They let their son just buy them a $100 million property in the Bahamas. Jake, I know you and I are going to stay on both of these stories, so please stay close. Always good to see you, Jake Ward.